Hello and welcome back to the channel, where today you're joining me in a Range Rover Sport L494. And if you've watched previous videos of mine, you would already see that I've already had a Range Rover on the channel, and an L494 at that. The difference is though, is I've had my higher mileage 3-litre SDV6, as against this one here is the 4.4 SDV8 with an Autobiography specification and a wealth of options above that. So it is definitely one that I wanted to get a video on. So the main difference being, of course, the engine. This one produces 339 brake horsepower, as against my 3-litre SDV6, which produces 292. So it isn't actually that much more powerful. It does produce more torque, and I have to say I think the delivery of the power is definitely smoother. It's very effortless to drive this car. You can't really hear it. It doesn't have to shout and scream as you go up hills. It kind of just sits there, very comfortable in any environment. It's a really, really pleasant drive. So that's the main difference between the two. They share the same gearbox. Everything looks much the same, although I will be honest, the Autobiography does have a fantastic specification, and this one over and above what that offers. For example, this is the 7-seater version. You don't see that very often, but it's not so much like you're losing any boot space, because they are powered seats and they fold flat. It's a brilliant system that they use, but should you need those 7 seats and you want a Range Rover L494, they do it. They can accommodate that. It's really quite good. It also has this Alcantara and suede finish on the headlining, which is really quite nice. It's got the opening electric panoramic sunroof with the sunblind that comes across. It's got this lovely upgraded fine line anthracite wood trim. It's also got well, it's a little bit individualistic. I really quite like it, but I understand it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's got this espresso and almond interior, so it may look like the seats are actually black, but they're not. They're just almost like a chocolate colour, and then you've got the almond dash too. It's a really pretty car in my opinion, and again, that is very subjective. It even has a special metallic paint on the outside. It almost looks like a purpley tint. From a distance it would look black, so it's not what everyone would choose, but in my eyes it's a stunning car. It really is. It's also been very well maintained with Land Rover throughout its entire life. It's only had 2 owners from new, and just a really nice example. So do bear in mind that this one here is a 2014 model, which means that it hasn't yet had any of the facelifts. They brought a facelift in 2015 and then again in 2017, where they changed this screen, and then later on they certainly changed the climate controls, the more touch screens and things like that. It looks really smart, although I'm a little bit old school in the sense of I do like to have a physical button. This one still has physical buttons. It also has the heated and the ventilated seats in the front, the heated rear seats. It's got the 4-zone climate control, so you've got climate control at the front and then your own individual controls in the rear, which actually goes through to that 3rd row seating too. It's got an amazing Meridian sound system, and I really do think it's one of the best ones out there. It certainly rivals the Bang & Olufsen and also the Harman Kardon systems. It's got the fridge within the centre console. I don't think there's much on this car that hasn't been ticked. And that brings me on to the point of the second-hand market. Because the 4.4 SDV8 would have been a slightly more expensive car to buy from new, the people that chose that option would have wanted the specification to go with it too. So they ordinarily would have chosen the Autobiography specification, and they would have had the extras such as the 360-degree cameras like this one has, the adaptive xenon lights with the opening panoramic roof, which I've already listed. It tends to be that if they're in for a penny, they're in for a pound. So if you're looking to buy a Range Rover Sport L494, I definitely look at a 4.4. They are said to be the more reliable engine. The 3 litres have had some issues with the cranks and things, not every single one of them. As I say, if you look at my channel, you'll see my higher mileage Range Rover, which is the 3-litre SDV6, and I love it for all the same reasons. Of it still has the looks, it still gives me everything that I needed to give me, and it's not one that I would discredit. But if you're looking to find one with a fantastic spec, but you're almost a little bit worried with the 4.4, I really wouldn't be. I'd almost be the opposite. I'd almost prefer to have the 4.4 for what it can give you. Oh, and that is properly quick. You cannot beat the V8 grumble as well. It just brings a smile to your face. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. So in terms of the running cost, the difference between the 4.4 SDV8 and the 3 litre SDV6, it's really not as dramatic as what people would initially think. So for example, the MPGs are very similar. In fact, you might even achieve a better MPG out of the 4.4, depending on what it is that you're actually doing. So if you're towing, where you're pulling a heavy weight behind you, the engine's really not having to work quite so hard because it does have that much more torque and a little bit more power. So it means that the rev range isn't quite counting up so high. So you do save fuel in that respects. It's never going to be amazing. It's never going to quite reach what the Audi A3 2 litre TDI does, or the Toyota Prius or anything like that. But for example, on this journey here, which is country roads, I've been averaging the 31 miles to the gallon. I don't think that's too bad considering what this car can give me in terms of the practicality, what it looks like, the performance that it can, the towing capability of 3.5 tonne. It's very similar as to what my 3 litre SDV6 would give me. Although saying that, the tax cost on this one is £615 for the year in the UK standards, and then the 3 litre SDV6 in comparison to about 360, so you would have to pay more as a UK road taxpayer. But other than that, it's very much similar to what the 3 litre can give me. I think my main takeaway from this would be is that if you found your idyllic Range Rover Sport L494, it has all the specification that you want, I wouldn't be worried as to whether it has the 3 litre SDV6 or the 4.4. The 4.4 is said to be the better engine, as previously mentioned. You do get less problems, but that's not to say that they're absolutely bulletproof. The 3 litres are also a very good engine, providing they've been well maintained. As I said earlier, this one here has got a full Land Rover main dealer service history. It's got both original keys. It's only had 2 owners from new. It's been, as you can see, loved and cared for. I think that's the main thing when looking at any kind of Range Rover. You have to make sure that the service routines are adhered to and the problematic things have almost been taken care of. The 3 litre SDV6s have the cam belts, so make sure that they've been done. These are a chain driven engine, but you can still look out for the warning signs. If on a startup there's a horrendous rattle, please walk away unless it's ridiculously cheap and you factor in that you're going to have to put new chains on it. It all happens to be a personal preference. As I said earlier, the colour combination of this really suits me. I really quite like it. It's one I would absolutely choose. But a good friend of mine who's also into Range Rovers doesn't like it. I've been around here, so I've shown it to him and he's gone, "Ooh, it's not what I'd choose." It's all subjective. In terms of the 4.4, it is a great engine, absolutely, but I wouldn't discredit the 3 litre as long as it's been well maintained. And there we have it, guys. So that is my video on this particular Range Rover Sport, the L494 with the 4.4 SDV8 engine with the Autobiography specification, which is phenomenal. There's no two ways about it. It's a great engine setup. It's a fantastic specification. I definitely consider the 4.4 if I was looking to buy one, especially if I can find one with the specification that I have. But I wouldn't necessarily compromise on the maintenance. I wouldn't necessarily compromise on the specification if the 3 litre one had everything that I needed. In terms of this particular one, it is so tempting for me to put my plate on it because I love the colour combination. It's a specification I'd very much choose. I don't need the 7 seats, but that's not one of the factors, but the fact that it has it makes it a little bit rarer, keeps the resale value up as well. It's an incredibly delightful engine to drive with, but then I think that is hugely down to what the actual Range Rover is. That's what the Range Rover brand is about. It gives you the luxury, it gives you the comfort. I'm sure that when I get back to the showroom and I jump into my 3 litre SDV6, I'll still have this same smile as I do every time I jump in. So yeah, that's my review. If you wouldn't mind, if you can like and subscribe to the channel, please do check out the other videos. As I say, I've also had my higher mileage L494 with the 3 litre SDV6 on the channel too. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Thank you.